Howdy y'all, I'm Nick with Great Plains.
And I'm Shane, I'm the bowyer here at Great Plains.
And I'm the glue up fella. So we're starting in on this project. These are Amazon bows that we've been ordering in and trying out and seeing which ones we actually like and giving you guys an honest review from a bowyer's perspective as to if this is a good bow or not, but we're going to be reviewing them as they are. And I'm actually going to be doing a project where I'm tearing into them, reworking them, and trying to get them set up where their tiller's corrected, the sight window's opened up a little bit, and where it would be a great first bow so you don't have to worry about your equipment, and it's an introductory into custom bows without having to, buy a custom bow for your first bow.
That's right, and we thought about this, and so when you're starting out in archery, it's important that you have a good experience for your first bow. So our goal is that if you get one of these bows, and we want that first bow to be a bow that performs good enough that it hooks you into traditional archery, or we don't want you to get a bow and maybe it's not that great a performing bow, maybe there's hand shock, maybe there's finger pinch, and you're like, yeah, I like to watch the arrows fly, but really not that comfortable, and it's not for me. So what we're doing here is we're going to take these bows and we're going to review them first. And we're starting with this one right here. The dog's eating some wrench. But main thing is we're going to review these, and we're going to give an honest review about these cheap bows. We're not going to butter up the company that makes them. We are going to honestly say the pros and the cons, and if we'd recommend them or if we wouldn't recommend them. So we're going to start with this one first, and I'll let Nick show you what we got here.
So what we have here is this awesome case that it comes in. This is on Amazon. When I ordered this, it was about $130.
And this is Sanlida Archery.
Sanlida Archery, I believe this is the X8. Now, that zipper only goes about that far, but this is a complete kit. It comes with, there's your string, I'm guessing some sort of a manual.
Instruction manual. Yeah, it's the Royal X8.
Arm guard, glove, string silencers, stringer. That's a very important thing, especially for a recurve.
Mm-hmm. It's got about everything you possibly could need in this first package here.
And I'm guessing these are points.
Probably field points.
Yep, those are field points for the arrows that come with it.
Little bullet point.
Let's open that up. Itty bitty fletchings, but actual fletchings. That's
turkey feathers.
Yeah.
3 feathers.
Which is important because those plastic veins.
This looks like a good arrow for a starter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've never seen. That looks like a little bit of heat shrink tubing.
But
for the front of the fletchings.
That heat shrink should keep it from grabbing.
Yeah, that would.
And then, let's see. And there's the actual bow. It's a pretty good looking bow out of the box.
Yeah, it's actually a really good looking bow.
So, right out of the box, things that I see that just little iffy. There is a crack right here. So a little bit of riser separation there.
And it's on this side and this side. So probably what happened is either this piece or this piece was not formed correctly for the glue line.
The sight window is square.
Straight. No radius.
No radius, just square.
I noticed right up it does not have tip reinforcement for fast flight string. So that's just a piece of wood there. So if you buy this bow, you can only use Dacron safely with this bow. So it looks like, it's a really pretty bow. How much did you say it was again?
About $130 shipped here off Amazon.
That's a beautiful bow for $130. And I like the little decorative cut-ins. But you could see this shelf, your hand is a little bit low. It pushes your hand down from the shelf. That could be changed, but not a huge issue, but it's just a little bit different than the way we build ours. But overall, it's really a beautiful little recurve. I really like the aesthetics of it. We're basically interested in finding the highest quality, cheap bows out there that everybody can purchase.
Something that's a perfect starter bow, where somebody can have an interest in traditional bows, pick it up, and be able to know whether or not they're interested in pursuing traditional archery further.
Needs to be a good enough performing bow that they're having fun on their first experience. I'm like anybody else, if I grab a piece of equipment on a new hobby, and I just can't get it to work right, and it's not a pleasant experience, I'm going to drop that probably a lot sooner than if I started with something I could trust and was a good enough quality that I was having fun right away. So same thing with archery. So we want to test these bows, and we're going to be really honest. We're not going to beat around the bush. If there's something we do not like, we're going to say that on these cheap bows here. Well, basically what we're going to do is we're going to make it so you can trust it. So if there's any twist in the limb, we're going to fix that. We're going to mark it with the correct specs, the exact weight it measures at the 28-inch draw. On some models, we've talked about there's a good possibility we'll radius the shelf and side plate. We may reinforce the tips for fast flight string. It just depends on how much margin we have in there. But basically, we want you, if you buy one of these from us, when you get it, it's going to be reworked by Great Plains, probably by Nick. This is more of Nick's project than mine. So he's going to rework them. And when you get it from us, you're going to be able to trust it completely. Everything's going to be accurate with it. And there's not going to be this question of, well, I know I'm a brand new archer, but is my equipment failing me or is it me failing me? So you're going to be able to trust your bow when you get one of these reworked ones from us. And after that, it's just up to you how good your form is to see how accurate you are and go have fun with it. But we're not going to do this with bows that we cannot recommend.
Right.
That we're not going to. Yeah, we don't like the limb profile, or we're just not doing it.
Yeah, unless we like it, we're not. There's no point in reworking a bow you don't like.
Yeah. On page 7 of this manual, they are promoting the step-through method to string this bow. Do not do that. For sure, if you're a beginner archer, and for sure with a recurve, do not use the step-through method. There's a very good chance you'll twist it. Even guys that have been doing it their whole life can actually twist the limb.
And on a recurve, you've just made a lever, and if you go to do that, just a little slip, and you'll get a horizontal, like a diagonal snap in your limb, and it's really easy to tell who stepped through their bow.
Oh yeah, we get bows back in the shop to rework, and the guy said that that I've always stepped through it, and these are guys that know what they're doing. And honestly, if you know what you're doing and you're really safe, you'll probably be okay. But invariably, I mean almost without exception, those bows are twisted. The limbs are twisted. Now they're still shooting them, but I have to correct that twist before I do a weight reduction or whatever. So I know there's a lot of guys out there that say, no, it doesn't matter. I've been doing that for years. It does actually matter. You can get by with it on a longbow, but on a recurve, it's a very dangerous thing. There is no brace height that I could find in here.
I'm thinking with that, let's try 8.5, 8 1/4, 8.5.
That
Leo, I need you to.
It's a new string, so I would start with that limb. 8.5. Start with 8.5, and it'll stretch. It looks a little bit high, but you got to remember this is a new string. It's a Dacron string. It's going to stretch quite a bit, so it's going to settle in. But also, a little higher brace height is going to be good too,
especially as far as making it a little quieter.
Mm-hmm. Most all your noise on a recurve comes from string contact with the limb. Just quick before I want to see how straight these limbs are. So looking down here, that limb, bottom limb is perfectly straight. Top limb's perfectly straight. So far I'm really impressed. Now, just me drawing this bow, it's a little bit stiffer than what I would have expected for a 60-inch, but we'll see. Let's go out to the shop and see what we can do with it. Alright, so we're over here at the tuning tree. This is my tuning alley right here. I'm just going to run over this bow just really quickly and see if we're all good. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the tiller, and for this I'm going to hook it on the string because I don't know if the tips are exactly proportionate. So I'm going to check this. Got 7 and 11. Here I've got 7 and 5. So ordinarily I would say that's way out of tiller. It all really depends on how far above the center the shelf is. So I'm going to just quickly measure that. I'm going to double check my measurements. So that's 7 and 5, that's 7 and 11. So that's way out of tiller if we're an inch above center. If we're not, then we're okay. So just to make sure here, do some quick measuring. So that's about the center. Shelf is 1.25 inches above center. So for a shelf that's 1.25 inches above center, you should be sitting at about a 3/16 difference of a weaker top limb. So it definitely is out of tiller. Let's see, it's out by about 1/4 to 5/16 of an inch. Might not matter. Believe it or not, tiller doesn't make quite as much difference as people think it does. So this bow is straight. It does not have. It is not quite. It's strong on positive tiller, but we're gonna just test it out and see. Now, when I drew this, it felt stiffer. So let's come over here and let's see what she weighs at 28 inches. Okay. Yeah, so it's 48 pounds at 28 inches. It's marked 45 at 28 inches, but it's 3 pounds heavier. See, those little things make a difference. If you have enough of those little things on these cheap bows and you're expecting something different, it really could affect your first experience with archery. So we've checked it out. It's straight, the tiller's off. It's 3 pounds heavier than what it's marked. So now we're going to go over and shoot it, both Nick and I, and we're going to tell you what we find.
All right, so let's see where these arrows are at. That is 557.
Close to 560.
Balanced on there. 575. 566. 567. So we're floating around the 570 mark.
565 probably.
555 and 48. So
Yep.
11.75 grains per pound.
So 11 3/4 grains per pound, which is an excellent hunting weight arrow. It's not just a super 3D arrow, but there's nothing wrong with it. You can definitely go to 3D matches with 11 3/4 grain per pound arrow. It's not going to hurt it.
It's also going to help with the life of the bow.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a big one.
So let's shoot this thing, and then we'll tell you what we find.
All right, I have the arm guard and the glove that they sent. The arm guard is goofy. Great protection, but goofy. And the glove,
How does it feel? Like, it looks uncomfortable.
it's pretty uncomfortable.
I don't think a guy would end up wearing
Yeah,
that.
I don't think I'll end up using that. The
Yeah.
glove it's a very cheap glove. I'm not a fan of it.
What is it? That's a pretty big seam there. I wonder if that would affect the string at all. These feel nice and heavy duty.
Yeah.
Is it
but-
comfortable?
Well, it's about a size and a half too small. But,
Gorilla hands.
you know, it works, and if it's not
It's a
hard,
great, no, it's a great starter glove. It's going to get you out there.
and
It's going to get you out there shooting.
it's not hard to get a new glove and arm guard. So, let's see how this does. I like it. For,
Real quiet. Super quiet.
yeah, with those heavy arrows, no hand shock.
This bow has no silencers on it, and I'm telling you, it is.
It
might
very
sound
quiet.
loud on the camera, but for a recurve, it's quiet with no silencers.
Ooh, I can't shoot today.
All right, let me shoot 3 of
Yeah,
those.
you gotta
All right.
I can't shoot.
The
Save my
grip
life.
on this bow, it's comfortable, and it's plenty comfortable. Even for a high-end bow, it's not a bad grip. It might be a little smaller than people are used to, but honestly, I like it. It has a nice area here where your fingers can come back around, and it feels really good. It's got a good palm swell. It feels good. I like it. Like I was saying earlier, the stiffness of this bow, it's too stiff for the length of it. It shouldn't feel quite that stiff. It really shouldn't. That probably has to do with how thick. All they've got is 2 core laminations, and which that's fairly common. But just looking at it, they seem a little thick for the length of this bow and the poundage. But also they're thicker, and that's why we got a 48-pound bow marked at 45. So one thing I want to measure real quick before I shoot is if it's cut to center. So 1.5 inches. Okay. So it is cut to center. It's not a center shot bow, but it is cut to center, which is good.
It feels like about 26, 27. It starts stacking real bad though.
Yeah. So I shot one arrow. It's a good bow. I'm impressed. I'm very pleased with the feel of it. Those arrows don't. I'm going to shoot one of my good arrows here in a minute, but I am very pleased with the feel of this bow. Very pleased. Okay. Now I'm going to shoot an arrow that is. This is a 400 spine. Those arrows, now that we know it's 48 pounds, I would say they're a little heavy and maybe just a tad underspined, honestly. Which I noticed the arrow flight was kind of erratic. But let's see what a 400 spine does with a 48-pound bow.
Oh,
that was
perfectly
just
straight.
Beautiful, like a laser. Okay, let me shoot one more. With these arrows, this is an awesome bow. I'm impressed. Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a shooter right there.
All right, with that sight window being real square, your sight picture's not amazing. It feels crowded. Also, with it being cut to center, that strike plate that they've got there is just, it's thick, so it moves everything out quite a bit. So things I would definitely change: round that out, open it up so it's a more open sight window and you can actually get a better sight picture and see stuff. Let's see, what else?
I'd correct the tiller.
Tiller's a big one.
If you don't have the right arrow, that's like when we shot those ones
Yeah.
it came with, the arrow flight was absolutely horrendous. I had one that went and all over, and I know that the tiller was affecting that because they weren't really high quality arrows. Bailey's laughing at me. But the tiller's really bad. This is an amazing bow. It blew me away.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
what
is
for what it is. The performance of this bow
this would be
is incredible.
This would be a bow I would recommend to anybody for a first starter.
Now, compared to a high-end bow, a high-end 60-inch bow, it's quite stiff on the draw, which really surprises me. It stacks early.
I would go lighter weight though.
Yeah.
I want to see if the 40 is as stacky.
I mean, it stacks a good it stacks probably at 25 inches, which is unusual, but you can deal with that.
The other thing I'm watching while shooting it is that crack. I don't know how many of them would come with that.
I would say probably not too many, but that is a massive defect. That is a huge area of concern. I don't think if we were going to change, I wouldn't change the tips because for a starter bow, just use a Dacron string. You don't need a fast flight string. If you get into changing the tips, you've got painted glass, you're looking at a lot of work and you're driving the price of that way up. So things I would change, Nick kind of said what he would change, I would write the correct specs on it.
Oh.
Yeah, make sure the limbs are straight, make sure the tiller was perfect, And then the only other thing I would do is radius the shelf and side plate.
Ooh.
And then you would have an absolute amazing starting recurve. Really, it's quite mind-blowing, the performance out of this little bow for the price.
And we've got videos on the Black Hunter rework where we show how to fix the tiller by taking it off the edge with sandpaper, how to radius the shelf. It's something that you could do, and if you mess it up, it's not like an end of the world. You destroyed a expensive bow.
Now with this bow, do not touch the belly and the back, because this is painted glass. You're going to change the whole look of it. So, and we're going to be reworking these, and we're going to be offering these for a little higher price, but it's going to be well worth it, because you're going to be able to trust your equipment. And we are not going to touch this. However, we're going to put a high quality finish on the ones that we rework. And this here finish, like just me, if I put my thumb on it, I got a little bit of dust, it drags and it's all over there. It's got sort of a grippy, it doesn't have a good finish on it. Now, if you don't have the money to work with it, it's fine. But it could be so much better for a little bit of, just a little bit extra.
Handful of hours into it, new specs, or the correct specs, tiller fixed, open that up.
Yep.
And that is going to be an amazing starter
Amazing.
bow.
Absolutely. You're going to, if you've never been into archery and this is your first bow, and you start with this one, for sure, if it's been reworked, you're going to fall in love with the sport, because it's a great little bow.
If you're a compound guy and you've got that trad curiosity going on, that wouldn't be a bad one to grab.
No. No. I mean, of course, you know, the Great Plains bows, we know those are nice.
Those are pretty nice.
Those are nice.
They're glued up by a weird long-haired guy and finished out by a strange Amish dude.
Strange Amish dude, yeah. But all in all, despite the problems with the employees, they're pretty nice bows.
But I'm thinking that right there, for the money, that's an incredible bow.
It is.
I would put that ranked above the Black Hunter as a starter.
Oh, hands down, hands down. So that's the Sanlida Royal X8 one-piece recurve. And thanks for watching, y'all. And stay tuned, because we're going to be doing a lot more of these reviews on these cheap bows, because we really, our biggest interest is to get more people into archery and get them having fun and get them trusting their equipment and having that confidence that their bow's not messed up, and so then they can work on themselves while they're learning to shoot better. So stay tuned for the rework. We're going to be doing a rework on this one, and in the future we're going to be doing a lot more reviews on these cheaper bows.